What's up, everybody? Michael Silva here to do some technical analysis on the S&P 500. The SP500 today closing almost at a record high, 6 points away from a record close. We're going to look at the daily time frame and the 30-minute time frame, map out supports and resistance, and then follow up on yesterday's video. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back. We are here on the daily time frame looking at the S&P 500. The market today closed at 33.80 and 36 cents, almost up 1.5 and closing right near the market all-time high. Today's update, interestingly, followed a down day after a 7-day green streak. Looked like there was going to be more continuation to the downside, but the bulls said, heck with that, we're gapping up and moving up higher throughout the entire day. We're going to be mapping out those support and resistance and talking about that when we get into the 30-minute time frame. But let's go ahead and just take a quick look at what is going on here in the daily and what to expect. In previous videos, we mentioned that if we get a break above this previous here in February and then break above this gap window right here, there's no reason why the market wouldn't want to reach the all-time high. And the simple reason behind that is because the market has been putting in higher lows for quite some time, working up to this specific area, and within such a close distance, I don't see why the market wouldn't want to make that continuation. The market here on the daily time frame, overall bullish. It has been a buy the dip, sell the rip type of market. I could understand why people might not have wanted to buy in specifically on this dip right here, because when these type of things happen, people get very scared, and we think there'll be more continuation to the downside, which there very well could have been. But when you really scope out and look at the chart, just look at the bullish momentum. Not only do we have the 50 period sloping up and crossed above the 200, we have the 200 starting to slope up. We have massive support here at 3,200 and 3,000, and in every dip we've been seeing a lot of buying. So if you bought the dip, you sold the rip, and so forth all throughout this chart. We've been seeing these buy the dip, sell the rip type of movements. This red rectangle up here is the bears camp, and that area of support that we mapped out yesterday at 33.30 clearly held because the market did not test it on the gap up this morning. We looked down at 32.80 and then 3200 as well, and we mentioned 3000, but it wasn't really worth talking too much about because the market is pretty far separated from that. What was the driving factor pushing today's market up higher, even though we saw some pretty aggressive movement to the downside yesterday? It could be the news around Donald Trump saying that they bought 100 million doses, at least it's in the works, from Moderna, and Moderna itself shot up 10% on the day. The market does respond quite well to news like that. Now, I don't know if that was the only driving factor, but it may definitely have played a part in today's price action. Let's hop into the 30-minute time frame to map out some supports, resistance, and follow up on yesterday's video. All right, so we are here on the 30-minute time frame. This blue vertical line going down the screen right here represents where the day started, and every candle thereafter represents 30 minutes of data. The red lines right here are areas of resistance we mapped out, and then the lines that are green represent areas of support. As you can see, on today's price action, we did not have a gap down or more movement to the downside. We had a pretty significant gap up. We pretty much saw a continuation to the upside, and it ran up into this area. We actually removed the line previously there, and we just said just to declutter it, but it's still a valid area of resistance. And that was really the only level from yesterday that the price interacted with today. So as you can see, the price gapped up and then kind of got rejected at this 33.80, and then we got a nice bull pull just right above it, and then it tracked sideways and closed pretty much right on that level. So now we got to go ahead and adjust our support and resistance line to know what we're in for tomorrow. Like I said, this looks like it wants to go test the market high, closed within about 6 points of it. Looks like we'll probably test it tomorrow, unless if we have another surprise type day like we did today. We had this huge pullback and then just a monster gap up and some movement to the upside. Maybe tomorrow we might have that monster gap down, but we have to see where the market decides to open first. So let's go ahead and draw out some support and resistance areas on the chart. First, I want to declutter the chart. I'm going to go ahead and remove this 3303 level of support because I do not think that price action will be reaching down there tomorrow. It is possible and it's still valid. However, just because it's so far away, I don't think that we'll be interacting with that level tomorrow. This 3330 level can be very valid. That is the entrance into the bears camp. So we're going to go ahead and just keep that there for now. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this 3350 level just to make sure that the chart is a little bit cleaner. And then this level right here, I'm going to go ahead and make that level a support for tomorrow. Now, why am I going to keep this as support? Well, we have the 50 period moving average moving right through to it. We've had it back tested a few times right here, and then it acted as resistance back here in the previous part of the chart too. These will be the areas of support to keep an eye on. You can also have 3370. Why 3370? I'll go ahead and put it there. Now that's quite a few levels of support, but I'll tell you why that's important, because that's where the price interacted multiple times throughout the other day, and then it interacted there today, as well as you can see the price pulling back to it and then moving higher. The price gapped up above that and then started moving higher, and then it interacted right throughout here as well. So 3370 does look like a solid area. Now you can just watch this 50 period moving average and potentially even get rid of this support line at 3360. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that. We'll get rid of 3360 and we'll just keep the 50 period moving average right as the area, just to clean up the chart a little bit more. But just know if the price does pull down there, we have that level as well. I would say that that would be a gap window from this day gapping up, but we did already have a back test to close that window right here, and then we also closed down through it right there too as well. The level of resistance I want you to keep an eye on is the all-time market high at 33.92 and 28 cents. I believe that the price did push a little bit higher through that, and we have this 3400 level right up here, which is a nice round number, but it did pull up just a little bit higher, but didn't have a close above it. I believe 33.92 is actually where the market did close. So these are the three levels to keep an eye on. We have 3330, which is the entrance into the bears camp. We have 3370, and then 33.92 is the all-time market high as the level of resistance. 3400 is obviously a nice round number, so you can keep an eye on that as well if the market decides to push forward. You want to keep a close eye here on the 50 period moving average as well, because the price action is above it. So the longer that it stays above it, the higher the 50 period moving average moves up. So if we get up into that 3370 range with the 50 period moving average, it'll add more support. So that might make for a good risk first reward trade depending on where the price opens tomorrow. Say if it opens around here and we get a pullback to there, we might be able to have a tight stop loss and play a bounce play, potentially to break to new highs, or you can mitigate some shares right there. Anything below that 50 period moving average on a 30-minute close and this 3360, we might see some more downwards pressure, potentially all the way down to 3330. There's a couple other levels of support that you might run into along the way, but just for a stronger area of support, I'd be keeping an eye on that 3330 level. That's all I have for you on today's S&P 500 technical analysis update. I will see you tomorrow.